I think, everyone who's been through this class will feel they've traveled a long way, earned the right to leave. Did you say? What? Your bike? Monads that originate in Denmark can use a bike. But there is a stipulation. The bike must have only one wheel, inasmuch as duality must have been overcome. But, you can learn to balance on that, Remember those bikes with that huge front wheel and a tiny little wheel in back? Really amazing. In the early days, before things get standardized. Well, okay, just a little while remains this afternoon. On to the third cosmic path. This little section is from Initiation, Human and Solar. He may have incorporated again later, I don't know. Possibly. This path is trodden by those who will take up the work of the 7 planetary logoi. Notice he doesn't say who will become planetary logoi, but there are many, many steps along this path. Who will take up the work of the planetary logoi of the next system and of the 49 sub-planetary logoi, presumably the chain lords. And that's not even enough, because all of those planetoids and other etheric planets and so forth, even the asteroids have their forms of life. So they are all planetarily related. So we get the general division of 7 times 7, but there's much more to it. There will be, now here, this is one of those things. There will be 7 systems, he says, though we are only concerned with the 3 major systems, of which our present system is the second major system. Elsewhere in Cosmic Fire, he tells us that ours is the 5th system, our solar system, the second major, meaning that the previous solar system was the first major system, preceded by 3 non-major systems, presumably with an emphasis upon physical, astral, mental vehicles of the solar logos. But it is a bit of a mystery how to work out this sevenfoldness, because the next solar system is considered the first ray solar system and the final one. So wherein do 7 appear, unless he somehow, time being overcome, he includes them all in some sort of final demonstration? And then why would that not be major? So there are some things which I think have to be examined closely there. There will be 7 systems, though we are only concerned with the 3 major systems, of which ours is the love and soul system. The previous system was the mind personality system, and the future system will be the will power system. Each Chohan of a ray takes a certain number of initiates of the 6th initiation and trains them specially for this work. Now, of course, a Chohan of a ray, there are 7th degree Chohans as well as 6th degree Chohans, but the Chohans with which we are most familiar are 6th degree Chohans. So maybe it's the question of experienced 6th degree Chohans taking Chohans that are also of the 6th degree but less experienced. And they are trained specifically for this work. There's so many ways one can begin working in this way. To become a Manu is to work on this path. To become a globe lord is to work on this path. To become a chain lord is to work on this path. And there are probably many other divisions as well, so it can occupy a great amount of time. Special aptitude in color and sound predisposes the choice. So you begin to think about those that are endowed with the fourth ray in some respect, because they are the ones who learn specifically with color and sound. Also, you begin to wonder about the seventh ray, because we are dealing with those concretizations, those precipitations, which are the planets and the aspects of the planets. And the ability to work with psyche, or the spirits in evolution, marks a man out for this high post. So soul sensitivity, spirit sensitivity, color and sound marks us out for this post. We might say that the planetary Logoi are the divine psychologists. Dragons of wisdom are along the second ray line generically, as are psychologists, and therefore in the training for this post, psychology is the basic subject. I do believe DK has just given a hint about his own destiny, because the treatise on cosmic fire is considered to be the psychological key to the secret doctrine. Obviously a masterwork by someone who is profoundly learned in this subject. It just flashes on me and makes me almost dizzy that I'll bet that's what he's going to do in his future work. I could be wrong, of course, but it hits me as a strong possibility. And therefore, in training for this post, psychology is a basic subject, though it is a psychology inconceivable as yet to us, such as may be found in cosmic fire. Okay. Every planetary logos has, in his own special planet, schools for the development of subordinate logoi, and there trains them for this high office, giving them opportunity for wide experience. Even the logoi themselves progress onward, and their places must be taken. This is ever the law, the rule. People or units of life are always moving on and up, being finally absorbed into some kind of condition where going out is no more possible, but there's a vacuum here. Nature abhors the vacuum, and the places must be filled. So even, what was it said? Was it DK said that he would not be free to move because there are, was it? Sorry. Anyway, of the two that he is training in his ashram, one of them is not yet ready for him to move on. Now, it's either him or KH, but the idea is there's a teacher, there's two that are being trained, one is not ready, the teacher cannot move on. So, okay, psychology, divine psychology, psyche, spirit, sound, color. Now we can go to the cosmic fire section. He just really introduced the subject when he dealt with it at the end of initiation, human and solar. Okay. Now we look. What has he to say? The path of training for planetary Logoi. This is from Cosmic Fire. This path is one that attracts to itself only a few, comparatively, of the sons of men. Does it attract Devas? Okay. It involves a peculiar form of development and the faculty of continued awareness, along with spiritual identification, which is the distinguishing characteristic of the 7 cosmic paths. Continuity of awareness, continued awareness, and spiritual identification, which we've learned is very important on our path of earth service, which is the distinguishing characteristic of the 7 cosmic paths. All of the 7 cosmic paths demand this spiritual identification. Okay, there are so many requirements to this path, I think we'll be quite amazed by it. The adept who chooses this path preserves in a peculiar way the faculty of sense perception plus identification with the spirit aspect. So, you know, the old saying that not a sparrow falls, but that God is aware. So that there is an awareness of the world of form and senses, but also spirit identification simultaneously. And in a way, we're trying to achieve that too, to somehow live in a state of isolated unity, where we have, in fact, isolated the wholeness of things, but can still deal with the parts and pieces of things. They are constantly spoken of in the occult archives as the lords whose Maya Virupa continuously recurs. Well, a master has a Maya Virupa, and he uses it. The question is it ever renewed for these planetary Logoi? Is he continually reinventing himself through the power of psyche or imagination? That's worth pondering on. Recurrence, continuous, ever projecting himself. Because in a way, of course, the planet does continue, but in what sense is it a Maya Virupa? That whole Maya Virupa concept seems to go to planets and stars as well. Sometimes, just to say something kind of peculiar, if certain stars, like the Pleiades, are in the stellar ranks, masters or chohans in their hierarchy, are the stars that they produce Maya Virupas? In other words, are there Maya Virupa stars, and are there stars that are born in the usual way? I know it's an odd thought, but it seems to me that Maya Virupa stars can appear and disappear much faster and unexpectedly. Well, a Maya Virupa is an image which takes form, produced by the Kriya Shakti, creative imagination, of the entity who is a liberated entity. So maybe some of these advanced stars in the hierarchy of stars operate by laws which are different from the other stars because they have achieved such a high level of attainment. They can appear and disappear, just the way, of course, it might be over a longer period of time. This is a thought, speculative thought. But we know that via the Maya Virupa, there is much coming and going of the master of the wisdom. And he can make it appear or disappear. So if we extend the analogy, one begins to wonder about that state of consciousness in a highly developed stellar unit where a similar ability could begin to occur. I talked about this with Nicholas once, and he said, well, yes, and of the Pleiades, who knows where they came from? Something like that. So there's a mystery here. But if the law of analogy holds, things are possible. Okay, lords whose Maya Virupa continuously recurs. So they are in the act of constant projection of their image. Projection of their image. As these logoi work with the psyche or the soul of manifestation and are primarily concerned with the subjective side of life, they are connected with that center in the body of the one about whom naught may be said, which is the source of cosmic sensation. Yes, solar plexus, conscious sensation. So this is the solar plexus, because the solar plexus is that center which is particularly connected with sensation. So there is a being or a center within this great superlogos with which these planetary logoi are connected. Therefore, they are vitalized from the solar plexus of that great existence whose all-embracing vitality holds our logos along with other solar logoi within the sphere of his consciousness. So there's something here about the animal nature, about the solar plexus, about cosmic sub-diaphragmatic work, about the power of desire. Anyway, let's keep in mind that the planetary logoi are vitalized by the solar plexus of the supergod, the local supergod. As is well known, the solar plexus is the center which synthesizes the reactions and the essential virtues of the lower three centers, including itself. This must be borne in mind when studying this cosmic path. So there is sustainment, which is the base of spine, and there is reproduction, which is the sacral center, and there is sensation and desire, solar plexus. And somehow, SPX. So somehow this particular path is the synthesis of three sub-diaphragmatic chakras. Okay. These adepts are also called, this is a third-ray path, okay? These aspects are also called lords of cosmic Maya, for they work with that faculty which is responsible for illusion, and with the relation of the knower to that which is to be known. Remember here that we are not considering the three worlds of human endeavor except insofar as they form part of the whole. So, you know, the whole cosmic physical plane is related to cosmic Maya. It is a myopic level. And we'll add to it that the third ray is the ray of Maya, and training for this path occurs in the department of the third ray, Maha Chohan. So much about the third ray prepares the adept for this path. And Maya, in a way, Maya is a precipitation of an inner idea. And the outer form of the idea is a Maya. I believe that the root word of Maya comes from the ability to measurement. So in a way, Maya is the illusion of what the philosophers call extension. You know, when you look, when you perceive in consciousness, it looks like there is space. Like there's this and this and this, and that what we call reality is extended in space. But of course, that is also an illusion. That's just a construct of our consciousness. So anyway, Lords of Cosmic Maya, or let's see, is that it? Lords of Cosmic Maya, and every dense precipitation really is an illusion when compared to the causes. And the triangle, again the third ray, triangle of the knower, the known, and the knowing is present. So this is third ray again. The whole dynamics of relating the subject and the object through an act of consciousness. The attributes which predispose a man for the work of training himself for the path of a planetary logos are 3 in number and may be expressed thus. Cosmic vision. These adepts are connected with the logoic third eye. Now, according to our estimates, where will we find this third eye? Where found? We said the logoic head center is on the logoic plane. Possibly his ajna center, and also the higher ethers around the pineal gland, are also found on the logoic plane. In other words, the head center of the human being is found in the first ether, which is the first subplane, the atomic plane. The logoic plane is the atomic plane of the cosmic physical plane. So anyway, okay, but cosmic vision, right away, you start thinking about Sagittarius or Taurus, Taurus, Sagittarius. And we do happen to know that this particular path is related to Sagittarius. There's much to figure out here, but the fact that it's related to the solar plexus center and the principle of desire connects it with Sagittarius, as well as with vision and the ajna center. So, okay, we're looking for the attributes which predispose a man to work in training to become a planetary logos. Now, there's a bit of a mystery here, because as I say, planetary logoi are often generated by groups of solar angels who together are breathed out of a solar logos and together become a planetary logos. I don't want to get into the dynamics of how that might happen, but on page 844 of the Cosmic Fire book, it does give us the list and shows the future of the solar angels and how together they can become planetary logoi. Now, does this mean that a man who will become a solar angel by himself becomes a planetary logos? Or is it some kind of group phenomenon that many men together form a unity of consciousness and together become a planetary logos? I just want to point that out, as otherwise we have the thought that the single unit can become the greatest God, when in fact there's a grouping all the way up, so that higher and higher forms of collective beings are formed through this group consciousness and grouping. Okay, another attribute, Deva hearing. Well, maybe he'll explain what this means. We're taught that the Devas hear. Well, we'll have to wait and see what he says. The Devas see sound and hear color. They hear what we would normally see. There's so much about sound and color on this path. The whole planet is a precipitation according to the laws of sound and color. And then psychic correlation. Well, maybe he's going to explain these attributes. Certainly, one must be a deep student of psyche, because the planetary logoi are divine psychologists. All the senses are, as we know, connected with some center. And these centers are in turn connected with planetary centers. I mean, like hearing is connected with the throat center. Seeing is connected with the ajna center. The sense of touch perhaps with the solar plexus, and so forth. And these centers are in turn connected with the planetary centers, which are themselves energized from an analogous cosmic source. So, senses and centers. The adept on this third path has a specific connection with the energies, with the energy which emanates from those cosmic centers which are related to spiritual vision and spiritual hearing. Now, I'm not exactly sure what this may mean, but when I think about spiritual hearing, I think of the Pleiades. When I think of spiritual vision, I think of Sirius. There is something about the Pleiades and the tinkling of little bells. I wonder if I can find that that reference, because it's one of the biblical phrases. And let's see, try to find this. Google.com. Okay, let's see if I can just find it quickly and make sure that I don't use go to Denmark. Okay, this is good. Plea. Okay, bells, belt. Okay. Maybe that is not. I think maybe I'll do better with bells. We'll see. Okay. Bells of light. I'm not sure that. In other words, it's referring to sound because it's the third ray and has to do with hearing particularly. Pleiades. The Pleiades. I remember the Tibetan speaking of it. Well, maybe I can actually look it up in this way. See if it's possible. Pleiades, bells, bell. No, it's not going to happen. Not right now. Pleiades, bind, silver bells. There's an idea of the silver bell and the Pleiades. So let me just check on the word bell. Bells. Nope, that's not it. No, that's not going to be it. Well, anyway, I'm just going to have to let that go. Although I'm pretty stubborn, I don't like to do that. Let it go. I like to stay with it until the reference. What is it? No, it's not Tibetan bells. It's silver. Oh, silver. Pleiades, silver, metallic. Oh, yeah. Well, you see, I've got the commercial effect they're interested in making silver bells under the Pleiades. But you know, it's lunar because it's silver, and we are relating to the sound. I have just one silver talisman of the fixed star cluster of the Pleiades. Okay. I seem to be on eBay. You see how quickly it can go down. Anyway, Sirius has that effect, that Agena center effect, and the Pleiades have the silver bell effect. So, but maybe DK will enlarge upon this. The sense of touch has primarily to do with the objectivity of dense physical form. And with it, this particular group of adepts has nothing to do. Now that's interesting. They don't have anything to do with the sense of touch, but only with spiritual vision and spiritual hearing. Sight, hearing, and the power to correlate the relation between the self and the not-self is theirs. Okay. Right. But the not-self comes specifically under the guidance and stimulation of a totally different group of cosmic workers. It is difficult to convey a clear meaning in this connection, and the student must remember that we are dealing with spirit and with the other two types of cosmic energy. Now, what are the other two types? Relating to sight and hearing, perhaps? Anyway, let us move forward with it, hoping for clarification. Sight, hearing, and the power to correlate. Well, you know, there are two planets that are correlated with sight and hearing. Do we know what they are? Okay, first of all, what is particularly the planet of vision? Jupiter. Jupiter, well, you know, you could say Venus too because it connects with the Agena center, but Jupiter is the one that envisions. The planet of hearing is naturally got it. Saturn has this connection with the Pleiades, and there's a very important connection of Jupiter with Sirius. It goes like this: Sirius, Leo, Jupiter. But, you know, he may have something different in mind here. It's actually quite an obscure path. I think we will, even though it leads to dense concretion and, you know, the tangible planet, I think we will find how much subtlety there is about it. Okay, this path is trodden by those who will take up the work of the 7 planetary logoi in the next solar system. So we've read this. This is from IHS. From IHS. We've read this. There will be 7 systems, etc., etc. Each Chohan takes a certain number of initiates, divine psychologists, etc., etc. We read that initially. Every planetary logos has its own special planet, schools of development, and the logoi make progress onward. Students may be surprised to know that the source of the peculiar cosmic energy, which is found streaming towards our system along this cosmic path, is that of the sun Betelgeuse. Now, we've already identified this as second ray heart energy. And we remember that the planetary, remember that the planetary logoi are the divine psychologists and work with psyche. This name is, however, a blind. Is it a blind for Orion altogether? That is the question. The reason that certain facts connected with this sun, Betelgeuse, have lately come more prominently before the public is in reality a subjective one. The science of the soul in its various aspects, mental, psychical, and spiritual, is making much headway now. Now, the science of the soul, mental, psychical, and spiritual, okay, those are three different levels, is making much headway now in the world and is absorbing more and more attention of the thinkers. The science of the soul. Well, this is a second-ray, fifth-ray science. This is the result of certain waves of energy impinging on our solar system and thus eventually finding their way to our planet. Betelgeuse, from the occult standpoint, is a system of the second order, monadic, at least related to our monadic plane, just as our solar system is one of the fourth order. There is consequently a relation between these two numbers, both in the system and the cosmos, 2 and 4. 2 and 4. This influence reaches our system via Sagittarius. So the implication here is we have Orion, Betelgeuse, Sagittarius, Soul, the Sun, and Earth. That seems to be the line of descent. For this line of energy, the line of energy for training the divine psychologists. Whatever is said about Betelgeuse should be examined carefully because there's such a strong heart stimulation. And yet, you know, if you look at Betelgeuse, the way Orion is arranged, there's 3 stars and a belt, and then a rectangle around that belt. And Betelgeuse is in the upper left-hand corner. Large red star. So in a way, Betelgeuse is part of the quaternary. Now, here's the question. These 3 very bright stars that form the belt, obviously the head center is one, the throat center is another, but is that middle one an ajna center? Head, ajna, throat. With the heart center continuing in order as part of the quaternary. Because in a way, the heart center is the 4th center down. So it would somehow fit that the heart center would be part of the quaternary rather than one of the major 3. And yet, the 3 major stars in Orion are very, very bright, so maybe they should be considered head, heart, and throat, which are the 3 major centers. But that wouldn't make sense. They are, yes, they're hotter and they're brighter. There have been so many readjustments of the assessment of these stars recently. It turns out that according to the Hubble reassessments, they are much more luminous than previously suspected. So that when you're looking at stars that some of which seem to have a solar luminosity of 500,000, 600,000. Incredible. Betelgeuse, I think, has a solar luminosity of 300 and something thousand, meaning it's 300 and something thousand times brighter than the sun. Rigel, which is the foot of the pharaoh, is the star of education, presently tropically aligned in Gemini. Said to be about 60,000 times. I haven't read the recent, if there's a readjusted assessment. Could be the fifth ray star. Could be. Then we have probably a seventh ray star and a fourth ray star. Anyway, assigning the rays and assigning the chakras, there's some variance there. But it seems clear that Betelgeuse should be a blind for Orion, and one of the ways of blinding is to take a part and hide the whole behind the part. Or you could do it the other way around. Take the whole and hide the part. But this seems to be a part-whole method. In other words, I could start talking about the Great Bear, but I could just name one of the stars. And it would hide the fact that the Great Bear identity was what I was really talking about. The work that adepts on this path have to accomplish, primarily, is to make possible the manifestation of the monad of the solar logos through the medium of the body of consciousness or through the soul form. That's a rather occult function. One would think it would be just to make planets or something. The work that the adepts on this path have is to make possible the manifestation of the solar logoic monad through the medium of the body of consciousness or through the soul form. What is usually considered a soul form when it comes to a human being? Causal body is a soul form. We'll see whether he means anything deeper than that. Thus they repeat on a higher level the work of those builders who create and make manifest the body through which the soul seeks to express itself. And well, very interesting. Because solar angels produce the body of the soul. But then groups of solar angels become planetary logoi. And maybe again they can help produce the body of the soul. They are not concerned with objectivity and have a relation to that fifth creative hierarchy which gives to man his egoic body. So we're talking, these are high things. We're talking about the cosmic mental plane. We're talking about a vast solar angel, the solar angel of the solar logos. We are talking about planetary logoi in the function of helping to produce a body, a soul body for the solar logos. And we remember that groups of lesser solar angels become planetary logoi. We have to put those ideas together. So the groups here have a function in relation to the solar logos, providing him with a body of consciousness. manifestation through the medium of a body of consciousness or through the soul form. So somehow these planetary logoi have to have a relation to the solar angel of the solar logos. So the planetary logoi must be related to the solar angel of the solar logos, a big entity. DK deals with that entity by mentioning it one time. The adepts on our Earth planet who seek this path do so through the department of the Mahachohan, a third-ray department, although including the 4 lesser rays, which of course includes the 4th ray, which is so important in terms of sound and color, and which works with the intelligence or mental aspects of manifestation. From this 3rd department, they pass under the direct training of one of the Buddhas of activity, and probably will be the 3rd ray Buddha, as each one of the 3 Buddhas of activity in Shambhala has a ray. Okay, just hang in there, follow it together. And in the final stages are personally taught by Sanat Kumara, functioning as the embodied planetary logos. So you become a direct student of Sanat Kumara. The 3 Buddhas of activity had a history in the previous solar system. Do we remember what that may have been? How far back does your memory go? Anyway, in the previous solar system, the 3 Buddhas of activity were planetary logoi. So they are well equipped to teach along that line. At the present time, Sanat Kumara is the expression of our planetary logos. They were planetary logoi who express the intelligence aspect of divinity. Anyway, there are 3 main subjects being taught here by Sanat Kumara. They are concerned with these 3, with color, that which veils the spirit aspect as dense form veils the soul. Color. With sound, that which spirit utters in order to make itself conscious. Oh, that's an amazing statement. Whoa. Spirit utters sound to make itself conscious. That could slip right by us if we didn't realize how outrageous a statement that is. And to produce psychic awareness. In other words, there would be, without the monadic sound, nothing would appear of which one could be conscious. The whole science of mantra yoga is mastered by them, but only in connection with the higher planes and where the cosmic planes are concerned. So in other words, within the cosmic etheric planes and in relation to planes still higher. Mantra yoga. Now, that fits, doesn't it? 3rd ray department, throat center, mantra yoga. Okay. With the nature of duality, that which is basically the science of the soul. Well, this is the whole question of subject, object, and the relation between. So, if we can just get this in our minds, sound, color, and the nature of duality, these are the subjects that they take up, and they master mantra yoga, which means through sound they can create any form within their sphere of expression. It seems, it's a very, I would tend to think that many third-ray monads, or at least monads that are not ray 1 and 2, would undertake this kind of work. But obviously you also have to have some on 1 and 2, because otherwise you would not have planets that expressed rays 1 and 2. Okay. It is difficult to express in words the method employed by a master of the wisdom, note, not a lord of compassion. Remember? Lords of compassion tend to enter the path to Sirius. Masters of the wisdom are more mentally trained. So, but let's just say, not lords of compassion so much, as he enters the cosmic path. It has been called, okay, some of you will like this, the method employed as he enters this path. It is called prismatic identification. A prism, all the colors, all the notes. It has been called the method of prismatic identification, for it concerns the color veils which shroud the spiritual energy. And the veils are all of the creations of forms, subtle and gross, within a planetary sphere. Prismatic identification, for it concerns the color veils which shroud the spiritual energy. This is quite beautiful what's coming up here. Another mode of expressing the same truth is to say that it is the method of understanding the song of life. Now we know that Sanat Kumara is composing symphony, of which all of us are an aspect, and that the Solar Logos is composing a solar sonata. Those are the two pieces of music that he's talked about as being in composition at this time. Well, I think ray 4 is there. It's one of the sub-rays of the third ray. I think it plays a big role in this particular path, especially in the psyche part of it, because the divine psychologists, ray 2, ray 4, the head of I wanted to say the hierarchy psychiatric department. Okay, that's for some of us, I guess. Anyway, the Master P is the fourth ray master who is promoting psychology at this time, because it's all about the relation of subject and object and uniting them. So I think there's a very strong ray 4 quality here. Remember how, here, I'm going to turn to Letters on Occult Meditation. Right around page 15 or so. Or maybe a little later. Did I get, oh no, it didn't take. Okay, it didn't take. Here's letters, all right. And we'll see it about page 15 or so. And here's how the fourth ray type is operating. When the egoic ray is the ray of attribute, ray of harmony, fourth ray, the method of destroying the causal body will be along the line of the inner realization of beauty and harmony. It causes the shattering of the causal body by the knowledge of sound and color. These are fourth-ray souls, or those who have been fourth-ray souls and have now perhaps transferred to another ray. And the shattering effect of sound. It is the process that leads to the realization of the notes and tones of the solar system, the note and tone of individuals, and the endeavor to harmonize the egoic note with that of others. When the egoic note is sounded in harmony with other egos, the result is the shattering of the causal body, dissociation from the lower, and the attainment of perfection. Its exponents develop along the line of music, rhythm, and painting. They withdraw within in order to comprehend the life side of the form. The outer manifestation of that life side in the world is through that which we call art. The great painters and superlative musicians are in many cases reaching their goal in that way. So this is a very beautiful, revelatory paragraph. It's Letters on Occult Meditation, page something, 17. Page 17. Yes. Yeah, they can. Here he's talking about how to destroy a causal body. But, you know, ray 4, he says, is preeminently the ray of color. But he does say here, basically, and ray 7 is the ray of perfect form in art, that these types have a very deep knowledge of sound and color together. With ray 2, in some essential way, it is the ray of music for geometrical reasons, which can be explained in terms of the divine rectangle, how you derive all musical proportions from the Geminian rectangle, which represents the second ray. I won't go into how that is done, but it's just a question of adding squares, and the Greeks knew how to do it. Ray 7 is one of the practically artistic rays, yes, along with ray 4. Anyway, this is what he says. They have the power of harmonization, and harmony destroys. It makes things so perfect. That's it. There's no reason to sustain it. On to the next thing. All right, so here's what this type of adept is finding out. He's approaching through identification with the whole range of colors. And the color veils, when you see a word like color veils, it's exactly ray 3 and 4 together. Ray 3 is the veil, ray 4 is the color. He's concerned with the color veils which shroud the spiritual energy. You know, spiritual energy is like the synthetic white energy, and the colors give just an aspect of that white. They divide it, as it were. And any division is really a form of veiling. So this is the method of understanding the song of life as the stars sing together, as the chant of the gods, there you have your mantra, as the chant of the gods peals forth in the great choir of the heavens, it produces a corresponding color symphony, like the one Sanat Kumara is working on. This particular mode of identification with sound and color enables the adept to act as a director in the chorus and to produce the needed color effects and chords. Sounds very promising, doesn't it? When he can do this to perfection, he is then in position to take up office as a planetary logos. More it is not permitted to say, and the above truth is but a symbolic way of expressing a basic and difficult truth. So, a choir director, conductor of the heavenly choir, and producing color symphony and the needed chords, which are many different notes sounding together in harmony. Ray 4 is very much involved. Ray 7 for organizing it all. Ray 3 because it's the color veils. It's an unusual mode of training, and he said not so many are taking this particular path, but it does lead to the cosmic mental plane. What did you say there? But there's a lot of manipulation going on here. The symbol of this path, I think we can. I wonder if we can finish this much. Yes, we can finish this much. And then we'll have to leave for tomorrow. We'll have to leave for tomorrow the second part. The symbol of this path, and the only one it is possible to make exoteric, because there must be more, is a radiant cross of colored light. It has a long limb formed of the 7 colors of the solar spectrum, and the transverse limb is composed of the 12 gradations of colors as yet unknown to man. But of course, when you say 7 and 12, you think rays and signs. So you begin to wonder whether the manipulation of rays and signs together doesn't help this type create the planet that is needed. In the center of the cross is to be seen a 5-pointed star in a deep indigo shade, because they are, after all, dragons of wisdom, lords of love. Whoops. Okay, sorry. And behind it is a blazing sun of warm, dark blue. I think maybe some people have drawn these. I don't know yet, but maybe. In the center of the cross is to be seen a 5-pointed star. I think Dwayne has drawn some of these. Dwayne Carpenter. In the center of the cross is to be seen a 5-pointed star in a deep indigo shade, and behind it is a blazing sun of warm dark blue. So some of the second ray influence is here. Above the whole are certain senza characters depicted in gold and conveying to the initiated adept the name of one or other of the planetary schools in which this particular line of study is undertaken. So, on each planet, this line of study is undertaken, or at least on some planets. Let's say that's more conservative. There are, as has been already said, 7 such schools, although did he list more? And candidates for this path from our planetary scheme are transferred to the inner round and from thence to the Jupiter scheme. Not, in other words, go to Venus if you're going to Sirius, go to Jupiter if you are going to become a planetary logos. And yet Jupiter has no ray 3 in its system, as far as I can see. This is an amazing thought. There are more than 7 such schools. What were we given? We were given, let's see if we can count them. We were given Uranus, Earth, Vulcan, Jupiter, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Neptune. That's 8 right there. That's 8. We are not given Pluto. Didn't exist when he wrote it. As far as, and he didn't give Saturn, but he gave 8 planetary schools. So what is this 7? But this is amazing. And the inner round, we know that Mercury has much to do with the inner round. But what were the 3 planets for the inner round as we studied? We had Mercury, Mars, and Earth for the inner round. Transferred to the inner round and from thence to the Jupiter scheme. The quality gained is cosmic etheric vision. The extent of the vision developed being within the 7 systems which form, along with our solar system, the 7 centers in the cosmic life with whom our solar logos is allied. And this is a very important statement. I call this a cosmic logos, not a super cosmic logos. This is sometimes called septenary cosmic clairvoyance, 7-fold cosmic clairvoyance. So cosmic etheric vision, seeing on the Buddhic, Atmic, monadic, and logoic planes, within 7 solar systems in a cosmic logos. That's what they can do. It's a long stretch. It'll be some thousands of years before this is right on the front burner. But the day will come. One more fact of interest might be added. This path is sometimes called the lotus path, as it concerns itself with the construction of the logoic lotuses of solar logoi. So here's what we've learned, that the planetary logoi are concerned with constructing the lotus of the solar logos, with whom they are allied. And we're not sure how that happens, because you would think that it all would have to pre-exist, but this is the second time he mentions it. The schools which prepare for this work are called, in the mystical parlance of the adepts, the lotus lands. So certain schools are preparing for this work. They are called lotus lands. The curriculum is termed at times the lotus sleep, as it involves a condition of complete negation, where the form side of manifestation is concerned, and an entire abstraction, thus producing a type of solar samadhi. So just imagine being trained for this path while in a state of solar samadhi. I guess there are some interesting things going to happen beyond the human stage. Okay. Whilst this is being undergone, The adept functions in the form or vehicle which is a correspondence upon the plane of Atma to the Maya Virupa on the plane of mind. Whoa, he's laying the occultism on heavy here. So this is the summary. Attributes: cosmic vision, Deva hearing, psychic correlation. The source is Betelgeuse via Sagittarius, and let's not also Jupiter for training. The hierarchy is the fifth, and that's kind of interesting because this is the hierarchy of solar angels who themselves become in groups planetary logoi or ray lords. Sorry. Become, I'd like to be able to spell. The method is prismatic identification. The symbol, a colored cross with a star at the center, deep indigo, backed by a blazing sun, blue, surmounted by a senza word, indicating a particular school where this training can be found. Quality, cosmic etheric vision, or septenary clairvoyance. Pretty deep, no? In fact, a little bit awe-inspiring, actually. A little bit staggering in a way. Beautiful. Somehow the beauty factor is very strong. Well, you know, we've been told that we have a beautiful planet, and at times we do appreciate that. But just imagine what an artist is behind the creation of this planet and other planets in different states. Planets are in different external states. Sometimes they go through a kind of obscuration where there's not much going on the outer plane. But on the Earth, very much is going on the outer plane. And it's a planet of great beauty. So, you know, look, the purpose of this kind of study is just to open the door to a much wider perception of possibilities. I know it's beyond all of us, absolutely. I mean, you know, all you can do is try to understand a few words and concepts and use your imagination to relate to things we know about, and yet this is what a master is facing, and even they don't know what's going to happen. So Master DK has this somehow tremendous, extensive knowledge on these matters, which he would probably say is just a tiny bit. And he introduces us to a pattern of destiny, which most human beings on this planet would consider entirely fanciful or inconceivable. And here we're trying to force our little brains to somehow go through this and absorb what it might mean. How will it affect our lives? Or will we say, boy, I'm glad to get out of there? You know, how will it affect? It's, did you say? Expansion of vision. I think it gives hope, you know. Because sometimes when you're feeling just like a wretched little human being, you know, or the old version of that, poor miserable sinner, whatever, you're reminded of the destiny, which is inevitable. However many thousands of years from now, this phase of it may begin. You know, why did he bother writing these things? He must have considered it somewhat important. Obviously, not the most important thing that he wrote. He considered Shambhala to be the most important thing, and discipleship, the new discipleship, to be the next most important thing. And then came the rays, and then came astrology, and so forth. But, you know, when everybody's going mad, dying for their own particular illusions, it kind of negates all those misconceptions and offers us the sense of a much greater wisdom that provides for the ongoing progress of the spirit monad into realms of opportunity which are hardly conceivable to us. It's a long way from who am I and what's going to happen to me. And yet, it is that. Because it's all about the essential who am I. And what's going to happen to me is all about that eventual destiny, because the true type of destiny is monadic destiny. Everything else falls short. The science of destiny is all about monadic destiny. That's what we are. And as we have gone through this little incubator preparatory stage of being human, the rest of our progress in our universe is as a monad, or as the ever greater monad, as monads have a way of somehow coalescing. When I was a little kid, I used to like to break thermometers on the kitchen table in order to look at the little beads of mercury. I push them together, and they go like that, which is the analogy of how individuals suddenly merge into groups. The many become the one. So the monad will make progress, but it may find the other parts of itself along the way, only to discover that those other parts are itself, until there's only one monad left, which there always has been. There's not really a whole lot of time, for discussion here. What I probably am going to do, if anybody in the outer group, the electronic group, wants to speak up, I'll hang out here for a little while and field some of their questions or thoughts, because I'm resolved not to eat dinner tonight. You know, there's that funny feeling of trying to climb the stairs after you eat dinner. I don't know if it's ever happened to you, but it just tells you one need not necessarily eat at night. So we've covered today the last part of the path of Earth service. We've covered the entirety of what has been written on the path of magnetic work, and we've covered the first part of the path of the planetary Logoi, which is like, wow, really occult, really obscure, really subjective, unique in some way. But wait, he says even more and even less about Sirius. So we certainly, before we leave, we must cover the path to Sirius, on which the majority of human beings will find themselves. So is there anything you would like to say today about anything you may have, which may have stood out for you in the day's discussion, if anything? Yeah, as if we just might get too much love energy onto our planet through the power of meditation. I think it's very interesting. And very true. So, meditation is like a loaded gun in a way, You have to be very careful where you point it. And maybe it's a blessing that it cannot be used for selfish purposes so often. People do not yet realize the potency of meditation, yes. An arresting statement. What is that source of the second ray? Is it Betelgeuse? Is it Orion? That source that we might meditate upon and bring in too much love energy, causing too rapid a love evolution on the Earth and seriously upsetting the solar system. Okay, what else? Anything else that may have stood out? We're talking about the ultimates now of the kind of occultism which has been presented to us during the last 90 years. Or even, Blavatsky didn't really talk about these things. She went as far as she went. Mostly, Blavatsky did a lot of history, tremendous planetary history, covered the ground of the origins of man and of the planet. And the Tibetan, working with Alice Bailey, went ahead farther. Anything else? Yes. Silent Watcher, yeah. And what are they? Mostly, well, they are on a number of different levels, but mostly planetary logoi. The way they participate somehow as a synthesis behind the activity. They hold the synthesis in silence. And in a way, silence is the synthesis. You could say silence, white, synthesis. These three ideas go together. Wait a second, I'm just going to do a quick save if I can. I don't know if I can. Maybe I should just leave it for later. But I'll just try to do this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, what else? The creative hierarchies are connected with the various cosmic paths. And the big question is why? Whoop. Fortunately, present-day computers allow you to retrieve. I thought it was very interesting. I never really registered the fact before that the fifth creative hierarchy of solar angels is directly connected with the path of planetary logoi. That really made sense to me when I realized, here, let me show you this page, if I remember correctly. The solar Petries, the highest three groups, will become major planetary logoi, the lower becoming minor planetary logoi. And they become planetary logoi in groups. It says, don't imagine that singly, one by one, each one of those solar angels becomes a planetary logos. The laws of fusion will be one of the most important and difficult things to understand. How you can fuse with another entity, still maintain your own identity, and take over the identity of another as if it was you, which it is, while the other takes over your identity as if it were you, which it is, all being one larger identity. The law of fusion. We are. Group consciousness is a step along the way. But, of course, this really requires a lot of heart development, a lot of Neptune, you might say. And yes, and we are fixed to the form. But the minute we step into the consciousness, stream of consciousness, when you can say symbolically. Consciousness, all one vast, huge consciousness, because we're too fixated on the form. From within the consciousness aspect, in the group soul and the one soul, one cannot so easily differentiate who is me, who are you. Well, that's going to be one of our big lessons, you know. I once had the experience when I kind of, it was some Waysack moment or something, and I was looking into the eyes of an imagined master or several, and I realized they were the same being, you know, and I stood back because it was a real thing. It wasn't just like, well, here's Master X, Master Y, Master Z. There's one being, and they're all Sanat Kumara in a way. And of course, one could have taken that on further. Some minor experiences like that in nature. Nature takes you and you are one. Feel you are one with everything. And there you are. Yeah, it's sort of like pantheism. God everywhere, I everywhere. Yeah, it was a big thing in the 19th century when Neptune was being discovered. Interesting. Okay, what else? Yes. Yes, and they are the prototypes of the monad, much higher than the monad. Of course, exactly how they are connected, why they are connected, this is for our research. Don't think that after we've had this class, all the work to be done in the future occult schools will be exhausted. There's a bit more to do. He's given us studies for the next 500 years. I can just see assignments appearing on these difficult subjects which we are leaving unresolved. I can see doctoral theses appearing, solving just the implications on one page of Cosmic Fire. Okay, what else, if anything? The burning ground. Yes, and the funeral pyre. Yes, and that symbol, which is an amazing thing, of Path 2, with its 4 torches and the accelerating 5-pointed star rising, right, up towards, rising towards a rosy sun, representing the heart of the sun. Now, one of the things I'm trying to straighten out in my own consciousness is the difference between the heart of the sun, as it sometimes appears to appear on the cosmic astral plane, and the heart of the sun as the soul body of the solar logos. Both appear to be the case. There appears to be some kind of reflection on the cosmic astral plane of this higher form of the heart of the sun. But yesterday we were talking about the 4-petal lotus and the 12-petal lotus. I believe one of these paths we just studied went from the solar logoic heart through the cosmic astral plane to the heart of the sun, or to the cosmic mental plane. I think that chakras are found on every plane and are reflected down through every plane, and just because our maps don't show us chakras on every plane doesn't mean they aren't there. I just think he didn't write them in. Because, you know, the basis for this thought is when he says 35 vortices of force make a master. Where are you going to get those 35? If you don't put 7 on each plane up to the atmic plane. It just makes sense. So I think wherever a chakra is, in a way, it's a monadic impression coming from the from the top to the bottom, and in a way, spirit hangs out at the very top on the logoic plane and impresses all the way down, chakra after chakra. Okay, I know, I've become so conscious of this square I have between Venus and the moon that, much against my better instincts, I'm inclined to let you eat. It hurts, but yeah. Yeah, we have mountain tops. Yeah, mountain tops for mountain tops for masters and also for us. For us, third initiation. For them, fifth. Yeah, I was impressed by that idea that there's this burning ground before the fifth initiation, a triple burning ground. Found that a little confusing because it says it has to do with the destruction of the causal body, so how can it be just before you're a master, causal body is destroyed? Unless, of course, we're talking about clearing the air, You can't have the debris of a supernova hanging around and still have the sun, which should be the symbol of the fifth initiation, shining as brightly as it can. Otherwise, it would be obscured by the clouds. You don't, no. Speaking of ash clouds, no. You want to clear up your own ash cloud, the debris of your Temple of Solomon hanging in the air. And you kind of wonder, when the Temple of Ezekiel is destroyed, in what manner is it destroyed, and is there debris there as well? There are these moments between initiations where you face some impenetrable darkness, and it happens all the way up at various points. Matter of fact, if you read chapter 10 of the rays and the initiations about the 10th rule, you'll see these moments of darkness that have to be penetrated, and they can go even up to the monadic plane. Very interesting. I won't go searching for that right now. Well, okay, let's just do, yes, did you have another one? Yes, for this reason. When DK suggested meds on the astral body for his students, he used the color rose. He used the color rose. Rose, okay. Hey, that's one thing we learned. We learned, hold it, this is going to save my life. We learned there are 3 shades of rose. Now all the battles over the true shade of rose can end. And I said, oh, my shade's a little darker than yours, something. Yes. If allegiance exists, legend, oh yes, if a legend exists, it is true. That these old stories are truths. They definitely reflect that which happened. Well, look, tomorrow, it's obvious that it's not possible to get through the 7 cosmic paths. Although he says so little about path number 6 and 7 that you can read them without understanding rapidly. But we will finish path number 3, and at least the important thing will be the path to Sirius. We may have to leave off the Ray path, path number 5, although it's really very interesting. What, who? Are you going to the Ray path? Okay, well then, we'll, how long will you be here tomorrow? Oh, you can stay that long. Well, for the sake of Julie, we will grind on to the bitter end until we finish that. Of course, you know, the end is the beginning. I mean, when you've read these things, I've read them many times, but each time with new comprehension, especially having to go slowly and ponder on each possible phrase, and then possibly having to explain it. You know, sometimes when you read, you don't necessarily stop to explain a thing to yourself. Yes, the group is good because whatever teacher will find that if they have to explain what they think or read, it gives a truer idea of what may be there. Okay, well, let's just have an Om, and then I'll talk to the webinar folks. Sorry. I'm coughing, but I'm not dying. You know, this is an improvement. Very good, and quite harmonious, actually. Occasionally, the harmonious Om does emerge. And then there are those other sounds, which occasionally happen. Sounds that almost don't leave you standing, that kind of thing. Yes, that's absolutely. This is it. We're doing our bit to harmonize the planet. Okay, you go eat. I'm going to just finish up here. Thank you. Okay, folks. Sorry that things got a little bit later. There are a few of us here, and look, if anybody of you would like to say something or bring forth a point, ask a question, whatever, just raise your hand. You know how to do that? Just, I think you can do that without too much difficulty if you wish. Okay, Joe, I've got you here. Okay, Joe, can you hear me? Are you there? Okay, good, Joe. Let me turn the volume up. Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Well, I put a little note in the remarks with the link to Dwayne Carpenter's site. He has done, I think, the first 5 paths.
First 5 paths.
Yeah. If you wanted to show the group, the link is there to the paths. It's in his test section of his website.
Okay, and what is it, Lightweaver? Is it?
Yes, it's www.light-weaver.com/initiation/test.
Wait, path?
And then test,
path?
and then...
Or paths?
Plural, paths.
Plural, okay.
Test before paths, I think. After initiation / it's
yeah.
test.
Did you say, spell it for me, test?
T-E-S-T. No, test. Like testing yourself.
Test.
/ And then after paths is a dot. And then HTML.
Okay. Very good. Thank you. Yes, they'll be interested to know that.
And I think that it particularly relates, there's a section I think that you read today that is about how we look at these symbols. I was trying to find the reference page, but I'll look for it and I'll send it in a little message.
Okay. Yes, that's important. Good, Joe. Appreciate that. And yeah, it's quite a study. It can't be done in a day or two. But I know Dwayne has done good work along that line, and something that can really be helpful. Maybe I can pull that up tomorrow. Pull up his paintings tomorrow. I'll try to do that. Thank you for that, Joe.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Is there anybody other that would like to say anything, suggest anything, etc.? Anything else? Trying to speak with what voice I have left here. Okay, I'm kind of searching the group to see if you're there. Don't be shy. Oh, okay, Johanna. There you are.
Hello?
Okay, hi.
Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay. Well, what I want to say, because it is difficult for me to ask something because I have only the Dutch book for me. So I am reading the English text and I have only the Dutch book to see it later.
Yes,
But
yes.
but what I recognized today, that was yesterday, we were talking about the law of repulse and the law of service. And
Law of love, yes?
yes, and
Yes.
the law of service. And then you say that there was a sentence that you say that came from, then you can see the need of others, the point that we can reach.
Yes.
Do you remember?
I said that one of the high psychic powers is the ability to register the need of others. He talks about this in
Yes.
the Dinah
Yes.
1 book.
And today we were talking about you can see the need of the cosmos.
Yes,
Remember
but not you.
on page
Yes,
400?
yes.
Okay.
If you're a monad, as a
Yes.
monad.
So that was the sight from above the mountain.
Yes.
And yesterday it was to see upstairs to the mountain.
Yes, and yesterday below the mountain. Yes, good point. Always the perceiving of the need, and we are trained in the earlier stages to be able to have that kind of yeah. Go ahead.
It is for me like the rainbow, to come from below to come upstairs above on the mountain, and then to see what is on the other side.
Yes,
it looks
good
like
point.
The treasure.
Yes, it did impress me as that cosmic need was a motivating factor there, and then who knows on what level that's being perceived, but it certainly can only be perceived by a free monad. So thanks for bringing that thought forward. Appreciate that.
Okay.
Thank you, Johanna.
No, thanks. I love to be the whole day with you. Okay.
Okay. Thank you for being here. Yeah. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Bye.
Bye. Okay. Any other folks want to say anything? I do appreciate that. Quite a number of you have been present when you can be, and yeah. Oh, Elena. Okay, there you go. Hi, Elena. Hi.
Hi, Michael.
Hi, Elena.
I'm always trying to think astrologically.
Yes.
In everything. In these highest levels of these energies, which is, very, very interesting. But it does not always follow somehow the rules on the lower levels, but trying to work on analogy.
Right.
when we were talking about the path of the second path.
Yeah, path of magnetic work. Yeah.
Magnetic work that tried to formulate the triangle of the second ray energy. You know, like the Gemini, it's a powerful second ray sign,
Yes.
which is synthesizing all the polarities in the zodiac.
Yes, exactly. Good point.
So formulating the triangle with the Libra, which is the balancing energy here in relation to this path.
Yes.
And the last point of the triangle, you know, it's our solar system, which is the second ray system.
Right.
But I'm now sort of thinking Gemini second ray,
Yes.
our solar system second ray.
Yes.
I don't feel like comfortable with the third ray Libra there. I am putting a fourth ray, the balancing energy on the Libra.
Yes, but you know what, Elena, about that. I've been thinking about this a lot. I've been thinking about this, about the hidden second ray in Libra.
Yeah.
I do believe that third ray is given, but for some of these constellations, only one ray is given. We know they have other rays. And I am convinced that when we have love and divine understanding appearing in the case of the Libran initiate, the second ray is really present. And when we have the spirit of peace, a great second ray entity, sorry. So sorry. And when we have the Prince of Peace, who is the Christ, being Libra in that respect, I'm just looking for the hidden second ray in Libra, thinking that the Tibetan only gave us the third. Whether ray 4 is there or not, it could be, I don't know. But it is a balancing factor. I'm sorry.
Because you see, I was thinking that our solar system is the fourth ray, fourth order system. So I was thinking, you know, that if we have the fourth ray balancing also on the Libra with the fourth order solar system.
Yes, yes.
Because, you know, we've been talking also about the astral plane in relation to this path. And even we didn't mention the Buddhic plane here. You know, I feel somehow through the balancing of the energy, even, you know, there is a lot of 2, 4, 6 alignment for me here, because if we're talking even with the monadic plane, which is the second or sixth different, you know, from which way we are counting.
Exactly.
My question was also in relation, you know, going through the astral energy towards the monadic.
Yes.
Are we going through the Buddhic or through the Atmic?
To me, that alignment is always astro-Buddhic monadic via Neptune.
Right.
This is what it suggests to me. Of course, I'm sure we can touch many planes on the way, but I think there's just a natural line there involving solar plexus, heart, and heart in the head. Yeah.
Right.
Something like that. Yeah, interesting. Well, you know, I'm just impressed by how much work needs to be done on correlating these things. You know, I sometimes feel like I'm reading it for the first time.
Yeah. Because
yeah.
Even when I was thinking, you know, with this third path, when we were talking about a fourth ray.
Yes.
With the color and sound and music and all that.
Yes.
Sort of things, that the sign which is involved is Sagittarius.
Yes.
And you see that the fourth ray is transmitted through Sagittarius.
Yes, but so is the fifth and so is the sixth. So, you know, but yes, it does.
But in relation to this fourth ray particularly,
Yes.
you know, with the color,
Yes.
that it is the fourth ray emphasized in relation to that Sagittarian energy.
That may be correct. I think it's very interesting. I think one of the major problems that I want to solve has to do with this third path, with the true nature of Betelgeuse and Orion, and
Yeah.
whether we're dealing with the solar plexus or a heart, or both at different stages of cosmic evolution. But we will move forward on that.
My impression about the Betelgeuse, you
Yeah.
know, there is also sixth ray involved there somehow.
Yes.
My impression is that I would go more for Orion energy as the source of that second ray than the Betelgeuse.
Well, yes, I think, you know, Betelgeuse is the sort of second ray component of Orion. But
Yeah.
one of the members of this class years ago produced a thesis with a source which showed Orion in the headdress of the pharaohess. So she's going to
Yeah.
try to bring that in tomorrow. Maybe it will clarify some of this thought. Well, good, Eleanor. Thank you. I'm going to just thank you for your thoughts. I think I saw Nia there, but maybe she just meant to sign out instead of raise her hand. I'm not sure. But thank you for those thoughts, Helen. I appreciate that.
Before you go, Michael,
Yes.
When I am putting my, you know, when I want to see who is participating, can you
Yes.
control that? Because I can't get it from my side.
Participating, I can control whether you can be heard or not, and therefore how much echo there is. See, I have to keep people pretty much muted, otherwise there gets to be a big echo.
Yeah, but what I am saying, you know, I can't see, you know, all the people who were participating.
Uh-oh. Here, now I'll bet you can.
And now I can. You see, I couldn't get it from my side.
I do control it, and I forgot about that today. I'm sorry. I'll try to
Okay,
to
thank you.
remember that tomorrow. Okay, Elena, thank you for your contribution. Okay, and Johanna, have you still had your hand up, Johanna, or do you still have your hand up, Johanna, or did you just not remove your hand?
No, but can you hear me?
I can indeed.
Yes, you can hear me. No,
Yes, I
I
can.
didn't. I was listening.
Okay.
I was just listening.
I think what happened is,
raise my hand again.
I know what happened is this, after you spoke, you just didn't click on your hand, which is removing it, you see. And I forgot. But it's okay.
Okay.
It's okay, and thank you.
Okay.
Okay. Well, look, friends, appreciate your presence. We have one more day of this. I'm not sure how long it will last. You know, it's beginning at about 5:40 in the GMT. And we may not go quite as late tomorrow. People may have to go here. But we will go on with these interesting subjects and, you know, try to make some sense out of them, only to realize that we have to study them far more deeply and ponder on them before some of what is hidden will come forth. So, good. Okay. Well, thank you for being with us, and appreciate that that you have been here. And we'll just do our best tomorrow to go further with the story. Okay, so good evening, good day, good morning, whatever it is for you, and we'll talk to you tomorrow. Take care. I have about 4 things to turn off here. All these, I'll try to make all this available to you soon. I'll be sending them to Brett, who will get them up on Makara, or maybe transfer big files, and you'll be able to download them pretty quickly, and you'll have the record of the whole 5 days with video. Okay. You take care. Talk to you later.